بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم آمين. So today I want to talk about a specific issue, but I'm first going to mention the hadith first from Riyadh Salihin, and then we'll go from there into our topic, inshallah ta'ala. So Sa'id ibn Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl radiyallahu ta'ala anhu reported that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, where he says in this interesting hadith on martyrdom. So he says, من قتل دون ماله فهو شهيد. Whoever dies defending his wealth is a martyr. And then he says, ومن قتل دون دمه فهو شهيد. And whoever is killed defending his blood, his life, he's a shaheed. And then he says, وَمَنْ قُتِلَ دُونَ دِينِهِ فَهُوَ شَهِيد. And whoever dies defending his faith, they are a martyr. And then the last part, and there are other narrations which include sickness and other things, but this one just has one more, which is وَمَنْ قُتِلَ دُونَ أَهْلِهِ فَهُوَ شَهِيد. And whoever dies defending his family, he is a martyr. So, my question to all of you concerning this idea is, when we think about actions, we generally believe that إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. But in the heat of the moment, so for instance, you're being robbed, right? And you're defending your property, or you're defending your money, or you're defending your life, or you're defending your family. In that moment, are you sitting there and necessarily thinking, this is for the sake of Allah, Or are you just in the moment thinking about my child, my daughter, my wife, myself, or my property, right? You may be thinking about the things themselves, right? Or when you, for instance, say you're driving on the road and someone's parked on the side of the road, you might tell yourself, oh, well, this person, needs help, right? Do you sit and think to yourself, let me go and get some ajr? Or let me go and, no, you say this person needs help, I'm going to help them. Right? And so this is something, what I want to talk about here is kind of the aura we've placed around sincerity, and we've made it in a way that actually hinders the beauty of being human, right? Because very much so in the process of being human, you're making ethical decisions, right, on the fly. And we've kind of made ethics to mirror the fiqh of ibadah, where it's like, all right, you gotta say Bismillah before you do it. Like that's the fiqh of ibadah. Before you make wudu, you say Bismillah, right? But even then, there are schools that differed in that reality. Whether it's saying it out loud. And I remember back in college, someone had asked me, do I have to say Bismillah out loud before I make wudu? And I told him, if you like to say it out loud, it's fine. If you don't like to, then you can say it in your heart, it's fine. And somehow it got to one of the Salafi brothers in the MSA that I had told him that. And he went on the WhatsApp group and he blasted me on WhatsApp and he, put his position. And, these are some of the, issues we're dealing with. Interestingly, Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he holds the position that if you think about something, then that's considered intention. So if it crosses your mind in the process of saying, I need to pray Asr, for instance. And then that thought drives you to the bathroom where you made wudu, then that is a clear cut case of intentionality, right? How did you get there if you did not intend it, right? So sometimes we've created this kind of lie about sincerity. And I also want to take a dalil from the Quran, of course, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Insan, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, and one of the few of the mufassirin said that this hubb, like that they feed the orphan and the needy on the love, but it doesn't specify, right, which love. And so they said, this can actually be expanded to the love of the orphan and the needy themselves, right? And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, we know this. We know how much he loved orphans. We know how much he loved the needy, So this idea that like, the only reason I'm going to feed this person is because, إنما نطعمكم, right, لوجه الله, right, لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. That embodied within this hub, right, is that you actually love that person that you're feeding as well, right? So this idea, especially when it comes to ethics, I think we need to deconstruct it a little bit and make more room for what living a life for Allah is. And it doesn't need to be to the point where we make this idea of sincerity so narrow, right? But rather we strive to live an ethical life, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, to help us in doing so, and to help us in being the people, right, whom the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ talks about, in the sense that he sent this deen, bu'ithtu mu'alliman, right, that Allah sent this deen, and he sent me as a teacher, and he sent me to perfect, right, utammim makarim al-akhlaq, and he sent me to perfect manners, and he sent me to perfect ethics, right? So do the job of perfecting ethics instead of paralyzing yourself about why you're doing something so much. Give yourself a break and just focus on doing the right thing, because in doing the right thing, there carries a certain sense of intentionality in just the fact that you're doing it, right? So give yourself a break, right? And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to have beautiful intentions and to have beautiful actions. Wa barakallahu feekum. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi.